How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Beyond the Arc here with your host, Conor Gallagher, and sat next to me is West Ham's new £60 million Brazilian midfielder, Lucas Paqueta. Lucas, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be here. Country's giving me good vibes and everything.
Yeah,
Yo, big
he's
up
good.
that guy, man. I hope he watches this video. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, Sully, yes, he hasn't been here the last few weeks, but that's mainly because he's been finalising his transfer. He's been living in France, playing for Lyon.
Yeah, obviously, I've
Now,
been
now, now he's in London playing for
visas
West
and
Ham.
everything. Like it was long. It was
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, well, apologies for no video last week. Me and whenever you were here, not on holiday, we did
Yeah.
have a decent kind of schedule kind of going on.
Mm.
But unfortunately, last week, as you can tell from my background, I have moved out of my house. I'm in uni. So yeah, apologies if the videos become a little bit more like spread out and not as weekly as it was. Obviously, we missed 1 week.
Mm.
Sully's going to be doing all the moving and that at some point. We're recording this way in advance of when it's going to come out
Yeah.
because I have no idea if we're going to both have time whenever we want to actually record it. But this should still come out on the Thursday, so the 15th. We're recording this on the Monday, the 12th. And yeah, this is a video that we've had planned for pretty much since Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cavs, and that is reviewing pretty much free agency.
Yeah.
I think free agency's done now. I don't think anybody is going to be
Yeah.
making
No, I
any
don't.
mad
Yeah,
moves.
nothing major. I don't think will happen now. Like I think
Yeah.
it'll just stay to how it is, really.
So essentially, we're just going to be start reviewing what teams have done trade wise, what they've done in free agency, like picking up players ahead of the new season. Preseason basketball starting in about 3 weeks, so I'm excited. It's been too long.
It's been way too long. It feels like it's been forever, like since we watched the finals. Like
Yeah, it's
it
crazy.
was crazy. What was it? June, end of June time. Like
Yeah,
that the Warriors won the chip. Honestly, it feels like it's been months.
feels
It
like
has
forever.
been
Feels like forever.
really. I'm so
I'm
excited, man.
I'm looking forward to watching a bit more basketball again. But the thing is, that means before we do get into preseason, we're going to be predicting what the conferences are going to be like next
Um,
season. So that's always one of my favorite videos to do, if I'm honest with you.
yeah,
So
and we always get it so wrong as well.
yeah, I
Like,
mean, I'm I'm looking forward to it though.
yes, I'm just so hyped for the season, man. We ain't far off now, a month or
Yeah,
something.
it's been good having Eurobasket to kind of
Yeah, you know what? I managed to catch it the other night as well. I found it somewhere on TV and I was just watching it. Like Luca was just going crazy. I'm like, yeah, man. Like I was so hyped, like just
yeah.
to watch basketball. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, but don't take Eurobasket too seriously though. Larry Markkinen dropped 43 the other night, so you can never really take it too seriously. But yeah, I think without further ado, we are going to be heading into the tiers. But before we get into it, make sure that you like and subscribe um, to the video on YouTube. Make sure you're listening, no matter what. Make sure you're listening on it. If you're listening on your podcast platform, make sure you're sharing it out. This is finally actually going to be a video or a podcast that might actually be listenable on Spotify. Last episode didn't even get put out to Spotify. It was pretty much that unlistenable on the podcast platform without YouTube. But yeah, make sure if you're listening on YouTube, give a subscribe. But yeah, without further ado, this is the tier list. I keep forgetting that whenever we do a tier list video, I can't see Sully, which is
Oh yeah, because you put the thing there, don't you?
which is unfortunate, really. But we're here with the charts going on. Top chart is so inspirational. It's back again.
It has to be.
Whenever we do a wonderful tier list video, it has to be so inspirational at the top. Second place is a banging off season. So if we think these men have had bangers in this off season, second place. Middle tier is meh. It is what it is really.
Mm.
Fourth tier could have been worse, and final tier is the team is actually worse than it was before. Whether that's through going into rebuild mode like Utah have,
Mm.
or I don't know. I'm trying to think of a different reason why a team might be worse than before, but I can't. So I guess yeah. Without further ado, we should just get straight into it. We're gonna go in alphabetical order. I reckon. So we're gonna
Yeah,
start with Atlanta, who were
great way to start.
probably the team that made the first kind of like free
Massive
agency
trade.
move.
Yeah, I think they've made the first big move.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Spurs are definitely into tank mode for Wembanyama in next year's
Mm,
draft. DeJounte Murray, that meant he went to the Spurs for. If I'm honest with you, I'm looking a little bit into the into who Atlanta have lost. They didn't really
yeah,
lose much. Danilo
they didn't lose much
Gallinari,
like in terms of big players, but they lost a lot in terms of like the amount of people that they actually lost. But not there's not many names there that would really like hurt them,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Danilo Gallinari, maybe. Obviously he's pretty much out for the whole season. For the
Mm,
Celtics, which is a bit tough. And then Kevin Herter, I think is a decent spot shooter, but obviously if you're running Dejounte and Trey
yeah.
as your backcourt, he ain't really needed anymore.
Mm,
Um, Atlanta have had a very good offseason so far, though, and I think
100%.
it's it's unfortunate that the East has become so like competitive. Weirdly enough,
Yeah,
ever since I've properly started watching basketball, it's always been the East was LeBron's division conference, and it was so easy for him to get out of. There was barely
yeah,
anything for him to do, and now I can maybe look at about. I think I saw a thing that was like there are 9 legitimate playoff threats, and only 8 of them are actually going to get in the playoffs, which is crazy.
that is mad. That is
Yeah,
mad.
but Atlanta, I feel, have had a bit of a banger, maybe.
I want to agree with you on that one because although I think the addition of Dejounte Murray is like now made Atlanta like a really serious contender. Like we've said, that backcourt is now like supreme. Like that was really the only major addition they made, which, like I said, isn't a bad thing. But I think it's the only thing keeping them from getting right to the top. If there's maybe like a couple more, but still a banging off season Atlanta have had, and now I'm like even more excited to watch them before because they were already making playoffs. So now it's like, what can they do now? Can I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe a shock upset season? Who knows? But
who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Boston up next. They didn't really need to do much, did Boston? But the one thing they needed to do was get a out and out point guard
yeah,
um, instead of Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. I think maybe that kind of guy. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, like I saw what they tried to do, but to be honest as well, I think like the amount of available point guards at like the top level, there wasn't that many. So
No.
like Malcolm Brogdon is not bad, but like to
I
be
mean,
honest, I still think like he won't even make the starting five.
yeah. I mean, but even then, it's decent off the bench. It's
Yeah.
definitely an upgrade to Peyton Pritchard. I think a lot
Mm,
of people forget that Malcolm Brogdon was decent. Obviously, he's been on a very underwhelming Pacers team for the
yeah.
majority of his career,
Yeah.
but he won Rookie of the Year
Hmm.
when he played for the Bucks. So yeah, I feel like like you said, there wasn't much to do in the point
Yeah.
guard area from teams that were tanking or in free
Yeah.
agency. So I guess that Boston have kind of done what they did. They brought in Danilo Gallinari in free agency as well. He looked to be he's a very decent bench option, but it does look like he's not going to be playing at least for the whole of the regular season,
Yeah.
which sucks. Talks of Carmelo Anthony potentially filling that void now. Obviously, he's still a free
Mm.
agent.
That would
Um,
be that would be kind of crazy to see, like Carmelo, and obviously we saw him on an overwhelming Lakers team, and obviously Boston are going for it again. You never know; it might be his time. It might be his time
yeah,
to get that well-deserved chip that he's been waiting for.
definitely. Boston, I don't know. I feel like it's a team that didn't need to do much this off season. But
Mm.
what they have done, I feel on paper, has made them better. So I think it's probably a banger still, but because they haven't done much, maybe a bit on the lower end. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that one. Like you said, they didn't need to do much, but what they have done, it's like strengthened in the right places. Like they didn't go overboard to try and like just add so many numbers to try and go for it again. Like they know what they've got is solid. They just strengthened where they needed to. So I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we'll stick Boston in banger and move on to Brooklyn. I feel like with Brooklyn, it's way more a case of not who they've brought in, it's who
Mm,
they've kept.
yeah,
And I'm going to say that a lot for other teams, but Brooklyn, I feel like keeping KD, keeping Kyrie, Ben Simmons coming back, they've
it's
got a chance, I
major.
think.
It's major, major
Yeah,
moves from them. Like,
yeah.
obviously, I think you know the only real problem that they have is that they still have the same coach. If I'm being
Mhm.
honest, but
Mhm.
I mean, like we saw, what like near the end of June time, KD said he wants to go. Kyrie said he wants to play with KD again, so we just assumed the big duo was leaving Brooklyn. We thought Brooklyn were about to like have the massive fall off, and everyone was just like confused. And now, obviously, they managed to hold on to them too. They've got Ben coming back. There's a new big three like that we're going to be seeing next season. Is massive, and I think they've kind of got rid of um a bit of dead weight in the team as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, getting rid of Drummond means that Claxton's going to be their out and out starting five this year. Um, Bruce
Blake
Brown was
as well.
decent. Yeah, they've still got Blake. Bruce Brown was a decent defensive option. Did a decent job when throughout the whole last season with Joe Harris being injured for the most of it. Joe
Mm,
Harris comes back and shows the 3-point touch that he had before he got injured.
mm.
Brooklyn could be dangerous still.
And I mean, they've added Markieff Morris too, which for me, like, he's always been like a solid like role playing type player. Like, he's always been one of them guys. Like, he's never been a bad player. Like, I remember like so long ago. Like, there was one game and he just completely locked up LeBron, and LeBron, like, you never forgot about it. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, Markieff Morris locking up LeBron like that. But I don't know. I mean, he's kind of old now, but I still think that's like a nice little addition to the team as well.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
and I think, like you said, I think they've got a real chance. I know we say this about them every year, but I think this year they've got that big three ready. They've got, like, everybody now knows what they want. They had obviously the like shock upset of getting swept in the first round last year, and that obviously won't sit well with, like, the
Hmm.
ego of KD and Kyrie and all these big time players who won chips and everything. So I think they're gonna come back. You never know. It
Yeah.
might be
In
like
terms
a
of the
little
off season,
redemption
because
season.
of in terms of the off season because of what they've done, I think it's a banger. Again,
100%. Have to agree
yeah,
with you.
yeah. As we move on to Charlotte, I mean, this is where the banger streak ends, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is.
Obviously, they haven't signed anyone in free agency. They haven't traded for
Mm,
anyone in free agency. Obviously, they got the 15th pick in the draft. We'll see what Mark Williams can do for them. But losing Montrezl Harrell, decent a decent role playing center.
mm.
Um, they've also lost the man who shouldn't be named. We'll see what ends up happening with Miles Bridges next season.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
obviously, like, the fact that they lost him, like, yeah, the truth is, once they realized that he ain't gonna play for them no more, straight away they should have found someone to replace him, because although, like, everything that's happened, the guy was still like a massive player for them. So
yeah, yeah.
the fact that they've not even tried to add anything close to that, like, is, for me, that's just poor management from the Hornets. Like,
Hmm.
they're a decent team. Obviously, they've got like their star and Melo, and obviously, like, we know Melo and Bridges, like what they were doing like the last two seasons, and now I mean, it's just Melo's, and like they've not gone to find that number two guy for him, and that, for
No,
me, like, that's just like poor management in the free agency. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know what their thought process is. Like I said, I mean, we might have something up their sleeve. I don't know, but for me, that is
yeah,
an absolute poor
it,
off
it's
season from
poor so
Charlotte.
far.
Like,
I think
it's
I think
horrific.
it potentially could be bottom tier.
I was just like, I can fully agree with you. Like, their only like addition to their team has been two draft picks, and I mean, a 40th overall pick and a 15th overall pick. Like, you're not expecting amazing things. Like, obviously that's subjective. You never know, but like, you ain't really expecting much. And then they've just gone and lost a lot of players, and obviously won not by something they could control, but they've lost a massive like a player for them from last season and the season before.
Yeah, yeah. So I've put them in the bottom tier. Mainly because, like you said, they kind of just don't really have anyone other than Lonzo now. Maybe Terry
Yeah,
Rozier kind of make that step up. I don't think he can.
nah.
Even then, the rest of their team just ain't good enough.
I think it's going to be a bit of a tough season for Charlotte, and they're going to have to. I mean, who knows? Probably by the end of the season, they'll be looking at lottery picks for the next season, though, because I do not think they're going to have a good year at all.
No,
I think
yeah.
it's going to be, I think it's going to be a tough time for Charlotte fans, and MJ is not going to be happy. And to be honest, I used to like watching the Charlotte Hornets. I don't think I'm really going to enjoy much of it anymore.
No.
Like, but I mean, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, yeah. We'll move on to Chicago, my team. Again, with Chicago, probably more a case of who they've managed to keep, and that's Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Giving Zach the max was probably the biggest thing that Chicago needed to do. The second biggest thing was getting a center. Is Andre Drummond going to be that center? Probably not. Should we have traded Vooch? Probably. But I feel like they've had a bit of a meh year. They haven't gotten better, but
Mm.
equally, like they just haven't gotten worse, which I guess is what they want, which is what they needed. They needed to keep Zach, but equally they could have packaged Vooch and Kobe White into a deal for a top quality center. Maybe Vooch is going to have a comeback here. Who knows?
Who knows? I
But
mean,
yeah, I feel
at the same
like
time, I don't think Drummond is like the worst like backup center.
no.
Maybe
I
he won't
guess I
even be
guess
the
not.
backup. Like at least
I
we know
guess
he's not
not.
going to be shooting threes all over the place. Like
Hmm.
when he can't shoot these. Like you know, and like obviously objective. The top objective for Chicago was to keep Zach, and like you've gone and done that. So like
Hmm.
it wasn't poor, but it wasn't amazing either. So like you're
Yeah,
right, it was like kind of in the
I,
middle.
I think it's kind of similar to Brooklyn, but because of how bad it could have gone for Brooklyn,
Yeah.
keeping Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is like just a massive success for them. Whereas, as much as Chicago needed to keep Zach, it was never really. I don't want to say it was never really in doubt, but there was. He could have gone to the Lakers, but I feel like he wanted to stay at Chicago. So I feel
Yeah,
like,
plus there was never major doubts. Like you said, yeah, he wanted to stay. Like KD the whole time was just letting people know like he actually doesn't want to be there. Not something he doesn't want to be there, but like he has to stay. Like he has no choice.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
and maybe we'll see that in the way he plays. Like maybe he just pull like some of these other players and maybe not play for the whole year. Who knows?
Who
But
knows?
I mean, I don't think he has enough years on him left to not to just give up a whole year. But I mean, like with Zach, like you said, like he wants to be at Chicago. He like the fans got major love for Zach. Zach obviously has been with you guys since the jump, and I think like for that reason, like there was never major doubts, and like he's your number one guy as well. He's like the franchise player, so like he
Yeah,
knows
he's going to
that
be the guy
to
next year. So
yeah,
yeah, I
100%.
think equally though, I feel like because of what it could have been for Chicago, I think everyone in Chicago had a better hopes for what this offseason could have been like. So I'm gonna stick him in
Mm.
there and move on to Cleveland, who personally I feel have had one of the best off seasons, which is weird because they were probably down to having some of the worst off seasons um, until about 2 weeks ago when they just came in and unexpectedly took the boy Donovan Mitchell from Utah away from the Knicks. We'll talk about the Knicks. We'll talk about the Jazz in a bit. But for Cleveland, picking up Donovan Mitchell in replace for Colin Sexton, who didn't really want to be there. Larry Markkinen hasn't really worked out for them. Mitchell's still young. He's an all-star. This Cleveland team is going to be dangerous next season.
Yeah, man. Like we already saw them last year. They made it to the play-in. They could have got like further had they not had to play against Brooklyn. And to be fair, like they have had now an amazing off season. Like their team is solid. Like you said, Colin Sexton. Obviously, we hadn't seen him due to his injuries and stuff. And like we thought, like because you made a video a couple of weeks back saying that Colin Sexton, like when you were guessing the starting five, you put Colin Sexton in there. But obviously now
I did,
he
yeah.
ain't gonna be in there. But I mean, if we knew, you probably would have put Donovan in there, obviously. But I don't think that's a major loss because like they had a great season last year and he didn't play, and now like their team is only stronger than it was before. Like, and they already were strong. Like they had a great season last year when many people, or not many people, because you did expect them to have a good year, but like most people
Mm,
didn't
yeah,
see it coming.
yeah, all right.
Like
Yeah,
most people
but
did not see that, and now
yeah.
their team is very strong, and
Yeah, I
obviously
mean, what?
Donovan is
Garland and Allen. were all stars last season. Evan
Mm,
Mobley has that potential. Donovan Mitchell's already
100%.
won. Yeah, it's a very dangerous team,
It
I
could be
think,
four
and I
All
think
Stars deep next season.
yeah, maybe, and I think it's so inspirational from Cleveland.
I have to back it. I have to back it. I'm afraid.
Definitely, definitely. Dallas. Okay, so maybe Atlanta weren't the first team to do any deals in the offseason. Dallas picked up Christian Wood before the finals even finished.
Yeah,
Um,
actually.
Obviously, they since lost Jalen Brunson to the Knicks, and brought in JaVale McGee as potentially a vet starting five, but if not, a very, very decent option off the bench.
Mm,
I still think, yeah, he brings that championship experience to a young team.
100%.
Um, and yeah, Christian Wood played amazingly for Detroit. Was great his first season in Houston before he got injured. Since hasn't really worked out for him, so he has a lot to prove this year. So Dallas obviously got to the Western Conference Finals last year.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
I guess when you get to the Western Conference Finals, do you need to improve that much? And I think they have. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's going to be a big loss for them, though.
Yeah, of course, 100%. I can completely agree. Also, like like you said, JaVale McGee, he's like solid for them. I think that is the type of player like that they needed. Like you said, they got to the Western Conference Finals. That's the furthest they've ever been since they won the chip. Like that was so long ago. Most of these players weren't even. In fact, none of these players were at the team back then. This is
No,
a
of
whole
course
new
not.
team 10 years
Yeah,
later, doing the best they've ever done since then. And I mean, you gotta tip their hat to like they've done like as much as they could. Like Jalen
Mhm.
Brunson, obviously leaving for the Mavs isn't great, but like I feel like they worked around it. They did well, and I
Yeah.
mean, even though he wasn't an amazing player, they lost Boban. Who doesn't like Boban? I think that's poor from them, man.
No, team's worse now.
How you not giving him the max, man?
No, yeah. I mean, Brunson's obviously was a big part of their
Yeah.
like secondary shooter. They
Mm,
haven't really replaced him that much. But I mean, when Brunson's wanting the amount of money that he's wanting, and obviously
mm,
you have Luca on your team, they obviously didn't think he was
100%.
worth it. Be interesting to see what you think about that when we talk about New York.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, the off back to the Luca with a big man obviously didn't work with Porzingis. We'll see if it can work with Christian Wood. I think in the meantime, though, it's probably Wood for Brunson's probably about it. Probably balances out. I think it's a meh off season.
yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you. I think like you said, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't dead either. It's like straight in the middle. You can't argue with it.
Yeah, yeah. Denver. Obviously they have the two-time MVP. When you have the MVP, what more can go wrong? They have Jamal Murray, hopefully coming back this season for the first time in
Hmm.
2 years. First time since the bubble, we'll be seeing Jamal Murray,
Yeah, man.
which is crazy. They brought in Bruce Brown, decent defender, but will probably just play a secondary role to the likes of
Yeah,
Michael Porter Jr. And then DeAndre Jordan. At least now they have a decent backup center. But
yeah.
when I say decent, DeAndre Jordan isn't that great anymore. So
Nah, he was okay, and you never like. I mean, it's always good to have someone you like that, but
mhm.
like I said, he ain't amazing. But I think the addition of Caldwell Pope is not actually a bad addition as well. I think that is
Oh yeah,
a
him too.
decent pickup.
Completely forgot about
Like
that one. Yeah.
I think for Denver, like you said,
They
even
haven't
though
given. They didn't give up too much for him either. Obviously, Monte Morris was a decent backup point guard.
yeah,
Obviously played starting minutes this season with Murray out, but that allowed Bones Highland to become a good backup point guard, and he's going to be the backup point guard to Murray this year. So Morris ain't really needed.
100%.
And yeah,
Nah,
to
fair.
get Caldwell Pope, I feel he's done decent wherever he's been. So
Yeah, he's not. He's never been a bad player. Like he's always just done like a decent amount to show that he's got like skill and I think that's a
mhm,
decent pickup for them. Like obviously we know when it comes to playoffs and stuff, like Denver do need to like show out a little bit more than they do in the regular season. And obviously they've got the back-to-back MVP, the most paid man in the league. I think he was until LeBron signed a contract. I might be wrong. I don't know.
I don't
Um,
know.
but I mean, I think maybe they could have done more though. Like I
Yeah,
said,
I feel
they
like I said,
go on.
when you have the two-time MVP, it's hard to really. improve because obviously
Mm.
your salary cap is done.
Is yeah,
Um,
that's yeah,
so I think they've done probably the best that they could do, but equally that is still probably meh because nothing's really standing out really for me.
yeah, and I don't think the major contenders still like,
Yeah.
despite the fact that they've got the Joker, who
Hmm.
is arguably like not even arguably he's top five in the league right now,
Hmm.
and like I said, I think the team has gotten slightly better, maybe, but
Yeah.
I still don't think it's anywhere near enough for them to compete with the big guys. Like
Yeah.
they need to do more in the next off season, or
Mhm.
like as the season goes on, if they can make like free agency pickups or something, they need to do it because like I like Denver, I like the Joker. I think he's one of the most like unreal players we've ever seen because the guy doesn't look like he should be able to do what he's doing, and I think it's crazy. But like, and I want
Yeah.
to see them contend more. I want to see them like touch semifinals, finals, like kind of like
Hopefully.
how they've surprised everyone in the bubble. I want to see that, but like actually in like the proper like playoffs. And I mean, you never
Hopefully when
know.
Murray comes back,
Yeah, hopefully.
that's gonna be
And I
what
might be
happens.
wrong. You never know. Like they might just pull out a shocker, but
Yeah.
I want to see more from them. And I think this offseason didn't do enough for me.
No, yeah, me too. Detroit, the first lottery team that we're gonna see. So it's gonna be interesting to see how your draft picks kind of change
Hmm.
everything on this. I think Jaden Ivey's a good pickup, but the big obviously they've got Jalen Duren,
Hmm.
who's the 13th overall. So two picks in the lottery. You can't go wrong. The big let go is Jeremy Grant though, which I mean
Yeah.
he did want to leave, so they finally got rid of that. But equally, they haven't really replaced him. Is Kemba going
Mm.
to play this year? Probably not. Um,
I mean, you never know. I don't know. Like, um, I think they need like him to play, even though Kemba ain't really like that guy anymore. I think they like Detroit is. I mean, it's not really the place you want to be. Obviously, they've got like um, damn, I forgot his name.
they've got Cade and Ivy
Cade,
in the
thank you,
backcourt.
thank you. They've got
Um,
Cade still, and we know like that. I think he's gonna be major this year. Like
yeah,
I've got a strong feeling he's gonna have a really good season. But
yeah.
obviously, like when you're at Detroit, like you having a good season still ain't really amazing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. As much
overall,
as Cade and Ivy, it's a good young backcourt. They don't. It's going to be another few years before we see Cade Cunningham in the playoffs if it is with the Pistons. So
yeah,
even in the play maybe. So yeah, I feel for Detroit, obviously they lost Grant, so I feel
yeah,
their team is worse, but it's not bottom tier level worse. I feel like it's a lottery
just the
team.
one above, yeah,
What they're thinking, so I think it could have been worse for
hundred
Detroit. I
percent.
almost put
I
Washington
no, I
in
come
there.
back that
Yeah,
it could have been way worse. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't have been surprised if Cade left. To be fair, like I think he's much better than Detroit.
yeah, yeah. Golden State, the reigning champs. What do you need to do to improve your team when you've just won a chip? Here's what you need to do: you get rid of a load of role players and bring in players on low contracts, so you can bring Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins back next season.
I think in the long term, what they've done for this off season made sense, but I don't like the fact that they like Gary Payton has gone
Gary
now,
Payton's gone, Otto Porter's gone. They're probably your two main ones. Obviously, Iguodala.
Iguodala's gone.
Iguodala didn't really do much last year, especially in the playoffs, but he's a big name. He
Yeah,
obviously brings that leadership. I think Dante DiVincenzo is a good pickup though. To
yeah,
run back up to if Jordan Poole's going to be back up one next season. Obviously, did decent on the Bucks, was traded to Sacramento and hasn't really done much there, mainly because it's Sacramento. There's not much eyes on Sacramento, so you never
mm,
really know what's actually
yeah,
happening there.
100%.
But yeah, I feel like
Oh, shit.
it's kind of potentially similar with Denver.
Yeah,
In the case of it's nothing good, it's nothing bad. They didn't need to bring anyone back this year. Obviously it's next season that's going to be big for them because I think Draymond's out of contract next season too, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
yeah, yeah,
If
and
not
I
the
mean we
season
know he
after,
wants the max,
yeah. So
so
it will be interesting to see what ultimately happens next year for Golden State. But at the moment, I feel like they're still in a position to win the chip this year, but I do think it's meh.
yeah, no, I can agree, and I think. I mean, I do like the one of the pickups they made in the draft as well. I think Patrick Baldwin Jr. might be something good for them. Like he looks like he couldn't play a part on that
Well, yeah,
part.
and
But
Golden State have been good at picking up like steals from later on in
yeah,
the draft. So
yeah, they really have. Like most of their amazing picks, aside from Curry, like they're always near to
well,
like the bottom.
Curry was what, ninth pick. So
I think it'd be like seventh or eighth or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
I mean, like they never really have like first, second round picks that are like amazing. I mean, now they've got Wiggins, but like obviously he didn't draft to them, so that doesn't really count. But I still don't like the fact that they let Gary Payton go, but I can understand why they did it for the long term when they need cap space. But I really like Gary Payton as a player. I think he was like amazing for them
yeah,
last year, like his breakout season, and like obviously if he hadn't got injured that early into the playoffs, I think he would have been like even more vital in the finals, and they like he already was when he came back. And but other than that, like their off season wasn't really like anything special, to be honest.
mhm. Yeah. So I've put it in there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Move on to the Houston Rockets, another lottery team. Three first round picks, which is that's good for a team.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jabari Smith with the third pick, Tari Eason with the 17th pick,
Mm.
and Ty Washington, who has probably the best name out of the whole draft class in my opinion, with the 29th pick. Equally though, I feel like with Detroit, they've got Kevin Porter, they got Jabari Smith, they've got uh, again I've done a U.
It
I,
happens.
I, I don't want to say green. It's not green. Is it green? I don't know. Either way, I'll get slated for that. Yeah, but they have got rid of Christian Wood. Obviously, John Wall, I feel like is it's a don't really
It's
Houston don't care about
technically
that.
it's a loss. Like now that we're seeing what he's doing, like
But
in the off
equally,
season.
equally, this guy hasn't played for them in like 2 years. So,
Yeah, I think Schroeder
yeah,
was a bit of a blow as well. Like I've always kind of liked Dennis Schroeder since he was at LA. I
yeah,
mean, he was a like major for them. Obviously, like Rockets weren't really massive last year, but I think like if they were on a come up season, which they're looking like they're gonna do, like
mhm.
not that they're gonna do anything amazing, but I think they're gonna be better than they were. I
Yeah.
think
The team,
Schroeder,
the team isn't worse, but like Detroit, they've got rid of their like all-star level player at the
yeah,
moment.
like Christian Wood
Christian Wood.
was the guy you'd want to hold on to, but obviously
Yeah.
he wanted to play better basketball, and you can't really like hit on it. I do think Jabari Smith, like obviously third overall pick in the draft, he looks like he's going to be something good for them. Obviously,
Yeah.
they got Boban, so it's immediately the best off season in the history of the league.
No, yeah. But yeah, I think Houston maybe with Detroit,
Yeah,
in that could have been worse. As we move to Indiana, who have gone to the draft a lot, but they've gotten rid of a lot of players and haven't really signed many good players in free agency. Obviously, teams like this, they're going to be tanking for Wembanyama next year.
yeah,
And Indiana are definitely going to want to be pairing Halliburton up with him next year.
100%.
Still managed to get Benedict Mathurin with the sixth pick, though. Um, but yeah, equally, Malcolm Brogdon's gone. Ricky. I mean, to be fair, they have got rid of players, but they're not players that really stand out. Maybe other than Brogdon, Ricky
100%.
Rubio, T.J. Warren, maybe. But obviously, we haven't seen T.J. Warren do bits
Yeah.
since the bubble.
Yeah, TJ Warren in the bubble though. That was MJ Warren,
Unbelievable,
like that guy.
unbelievable.
But I mean, yeah, like you said, aside from the odd two, three players, they haven't lost major people. But like again, Pacers, they're not really like they're kind of on the rebuild. Like
Yeah, they're just there at the moment, in my opinion.
yeah, they're
I feel
just
like
like a filler team in the league right now. If I'm
yeah,
honest,
yeah. So I don't, because I don't think their team is worse than before because they haven't really gotten rid of anyone that's
because they didn't
like
really have
huge.
anyone amazing to get rid of.
But,
Like
I mean, I think Malcolm Brogdon's probably that guy for them.
yeah,
But I think,
like aside from him, that's like the one or two players. But even
and
then, like
they've
and then
gotten rid of him. They haven't really brought
yeah.
anyone in.
And to be
They
fair, I
they
think
only
he
had
had to go. To be honest,
yeah,
like
yeah,
he's better than to be at a team that's not really doing anything right now.
yeah. So I'd put Indiana in the bottom tier in my opinion.
Yeah,
I,
I can back it.
I just feel like one first round pick, equally just makes your team worse. Obviously, we've seen steals come in the second round, but but ultimately you're wanting more first round picks.
100%. 100%.
So so obviously they didn't get that this year. They're going to be tanking for Wembanyama next year. Um, as we move on to the Clippers. Now the Clippers have had a very quiet off
Yeah,
season. They drafted someone with the 43rd, sorry, overall pick, and only brought in John Wall in free agency. But in my opinion, I think, and this might be a hot take. I think this makes it a banger.
I'm glad that you said that. I think they were efficient. They got rid of like dead weight in the team that weren't really doing anything. They've got like a pick in the draft, and John Wall. I mean, I've been seeing off-season videos of him, and the guy
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
hungry. Like
yeah,
he looks dangerous.
yeah.
I mean, we know he's not injured no more. He's playing proper basketball. Like
So
he's out
maybe
there.
maybe Hartenstein is probably their main piece leaving, but I think the Knicks overpaid for him um, for a backup center really. And then I mean John Wall, if Kawhi's back, imagine starting on Kawhi, then switching to Paul George, and then switching again to John Wall. This
It's.
this defense is mental.
I mean, if that big three is playing, that's another new big three that we're seeing. That's scary, man. That is
And, you know,
scary.
we've I feel like a lot of people have overrated the Clippers a lot, but the fact is, I'm still on that hype train of Kawhi and Paul George.
Me too.
It's
Like
crazy that they've been on the same roster for, is it coming up to the fourth year now together?
something. I want to
And
say. I want to say third season.
I feel like we it's either third or fourth season, but
Yeah.
I personally feel like we haven't properly seen them two together
Yeah,
yet.
we ain't seen enough, and I think now with John Wall in the mix as well, like I think these guys could go for like the best defensive team in the league this season. Like if they all stay healthy for a year, Kawhi for
Yeah.
me is on a healthy day one of the best defensive players in the league, if not the best. Like
hmm
he
It's
was
just the question is a
can
year and a half, 2 years out of the game, it's going to
I,
be
th-
tough to get back in it.
I think he'll be fine. I'll be honest. I think he'll be fine. I think, like we said, the guy's the Terminator. Like nothing has ever phased Kawhi ever. Like the only time I ever saw him show emotion was when he hit the buzzer beater against
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like the
So
Sixers and
yeah, with Kawhi, and then the same with John Wall. Really, they've both been out of the game for a while. Can they come
yeah,
back and do it? But you know me. You know I love a bit of Paul George, so I feel like,
yeah.
if he can be that number one scoring option, then all's good.
I think if the
Clippers,
season starts going on,
I'm thinking it's a banger though.
yeah, 100%. I just think I hope. Sorry, even if the season starts and them three are playing, then it's very scary, and I'm very excited to see Clippers play basketball, which isn't normally a thing. Nobody's really excited to see Clippers play. And now, I think everyone's going to be tuning in. If that big three is playing, like everyone loves John Wall as
hmm
well. Like who don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that guy?
yeah. Well, we'll
But
move across the city to the Lakers, the team that literally have no draft picks. They're literally screwed. Um, but new coach has come in. He's dumped a load of old people on someone, like anyone's doorstep. I think a lot of the people they've released haven't found a new team yet. If I'm honest with you,
yeah, most of them haven't.
Malik Monk obviously signing with the Kings is a big loss for them in my opinion.
Yeah, I
But they've
completely
brought in
agree.
Patrick Beverley, who if he can play with Russ,
I mean, I've seen videos of them being all right with each other, like
yeah,
hugging and stuff. Like, so maybe they're all right now. Obviously,
who
I think
knows?
it's one of them things. Obviously, like when you're on the court with someone, like you are going to be beefing and whatever. But once you're on the same team, it's like all of that's forgotten. Like we've seen, I think, even though this was before our time, like Scottie Pippen and Rodman played together, and them two had like one of the biggest beefs in NBA. Like, and I think if them two can play together, then I think anybody else can too. Like,
Yeah. Well, I
and
mean, what, like you talk about Scottie Pippen, the amount of stuff he said about MJ recently,
yeah, it's crazy.
coming
It's
from
crazy.
the thing. So maybe he didn't like MJ, but they won 6 chips together, so it's all good.
Yeah,
No, but yeah, the Lakers, Thomas Bryant, they've got a all right backup center there. Lonnie Walker, Troy Brown, they're all right off the bench, but I
yeah.
don't think Troy Brown's going to get much minutes.
I
Walker
think
might.
most of them guys have just been like putting aside from Pat Bev. I think the rest of them are just like bench players and stuff.
Yeah,
Like you said, the only real loss for me was Malik Monk and maybe Dwight Howard. Maybe like in the city.
maybe Melo as well.
Yeah, I mean, like there were guys that would add the occasional thing. He obviously Dwight and Carmelo, especially, they're not what they once were. But that's
Yeah,
not to say that they're not still good players. Like anyone would still like, so a lot of teams would still happily take them, and they probably will find a team before the season starts. I don't think the season will start without Carmelo and
Yeah,
Dwight Howard on a team. Like, they're still vets in the league. Like, they're gonna find a
yeah,
team.
you gotta hope so. Yeah,
But like you said, Malik Monk, I quite liked him. He was a nice like player coming off the bench, doing his thing. Like, and he's going to the Kings. It's like, I don't know. I don't see why he wanted to do that. Like, I don't really know what the Kings have to offer. Maybe he'll be
more
the number
money.
one guy there. Probably, yeah, more money. He'll be the number one guy. He might be able to, like, get his average points up a bit. And
Maybe not the number one guy, but
I mean, I think he'll be the number one, maybe number two guy or something. I think it'll be kind of
what the
quite
team,
interesting.
a team that has Demantis Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, you think Malik Monk's going to be the number one guy there?
Okay, maybe not the number one guy, but I think he'll be more important. He'll be more important to them than he was at LA, because obviously
Yeah,
LA.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I
Yeah,
think I think
definitely.
that's what he needs. Like, to be fair, because I
Yeah.
think he's a really good player, and obviously when you're overshadowed by AD most of the time, LeBron, technically
Hmm.
Russ, if you want
Hmm.
to count him,
Yeah, I guess if you want to go that far, yeah, yeah, definitely.
like,
Um,
like, you can't really shine much, and
yeah, but
so
you know,
I can understand.
he's a decent role player there, and I don't think that
100%.
we've replaced him that well. It's either at the bottom of meh or potentially could have been worse.
No, I'd say we're putting him there because their team hasn't
Yeah,
really gone worse.
no.
And Pat Bev,
Okay,
I
yeah,
think,
I
is
get that. I
actually
get
like a
that.
decent
Yeah,
appoint.
yeah.
Like, even though the guy does talk a lot, like, like we say, the guy's eating steak before he's playing CP. I don't think LeBron will allow that anymore, so he's
No,
not eating steak
no
no
more
more.
steak for Pat
No,
Bev.
no more steak for Pat Bev. I don't know. Maybe the LA steak is good though. Maybe LeBron has
Who knows?
taken him
Who
out for a
knows?
steak already. But,
Who
but I think it'd
knows?
be good to see Patrick Beverly rocking the
Yeah,
the blue and gold.
yeah. It'd be interesting there.
Mm,
Memphis. Memphis haven't done much, but they've still got 2 first round picks in the draft, which is decent. Obviously,
mm,
they've traded for Danny Green, but he's done his leg. He's going to be out for the season pretty much. So the only new players they've got in have really been like youngsters from the draft, and they've lost Kyle Anderson, who I think is
yeah,
quite a big loss for them.
yeah, I can agree with you there. I
He's a
mean,
decent defensive player.
with Memphis, I think because of how good their season was, but at the same time, like, obviously they showed that when it comes to the playoffs, I don't think they can challenge the top guys. And
I mean,
because then,
equally, when you think about it, they've used the fact that Jar's going to be a year older, Desmond Bain's going to be a year older, Jarrett
mm,
Jackson's going to be a year older.
yeah,
They're kind of going off of the fact that if we can run it back potentially, I think it's just going to be a bit hard for them to do it back to back. But obviously, we said that about Phoenix last year, and they finished
yeah,
first in the conference. But um, yeah, who knows? Memphis, again, though, I just don't think their off season's been that good.
yeah. No, I can agree with you there. I do think they'll still have a decent year, but like, I don't know. I think because of, like, if you ask me, like, if you look at some of the top teams in the conference, like, if it came to like deep into the playoffs, I don't think Memphis can like compete with them. Like, in the league, obviously we saw them have a great season, but I think when it comes down to it, they won't be able to battle with them kind of guys. And I
Hmm.
think for that reason, they need more like, experienced players. And I guess Danny Green, you could say, is kind of experienced. But obviously, like I say, he's injured now, so he ain't
I
gonna
mean,
be
it could
kind
be
of.
it's a voice in the locker room, really,
Yeah,
isn't it?
hundred
So
percent, 100%.
yeah,
And I guess that's always important. Like, obviously, he's got chips and everything. He's got experience. He's played with some top guys in the league,
yeah.
and I think that's always good to have in the locker room. But I mean, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah.
Like,
But
obviously,
I personally think it's could have been worse tier for them
yeah, I
with
can agree.
Detroit. I mean, it didn't need to be great, but with the likes of like the Mavericks and the Nuggets, they brought in players that are going to do something for them, and I just don't think that Memphis have.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
Miami, probably the quietest team.
Yeah,
Um,
man. I mean, technically, they signed, like, they signed Jokic, bro. They signed Jokic. They
no, no, no,
signed Nikola Jokic, number two.
no, no. I think you need to squint looking on that one.
Oh, damn,
Jovic.
hey, Jokic. No, I'm just saying. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
they've signed the potential next Jokic. Like, he's
who
on the
knows? Who
cards.
knows?
So.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
no,
mean,
you're right. Like,
losing Markieff Morris. Obviously, like you said, he's a decent role player. PJ
yeah,
Tucker's probably the big one there, though. It's kind of a
yeah,
um, He's a decent vet. Obviously, Philly have definitely overpaid for him, in my opinion.
100%. Obviously, guys like
Maybe,
Philly
maybe not
will.
overpaid, but they've given him way too long a contract to say it's
Mm,
like 37.
30, yeah,
Um,
37, 38 or something like.
yeah, so I mean, he is going to bring amazing experience to that Philly team, and
100%,
he's
and
going to
that's
take it a bit away from Miami. Is this just following the running theme on the channel that I just don't back Miami by putting him in bottom tier for this?
I mean, it you could put him in the bottom tier, but like, again, I think it could have been worse. Like,
Yeah, I think
they didn't
maybe
lose
bottom
anyone
tier,
major.
maybe bottom tier is a case of like their team is drastically worse. Miami's team isn't drastically worse because they've gotten rid of PJ Tucker.
Yeah, like I think they'll be fine. To be honest, I
Yeah.
think they probably performed the same as they did last season. Like they had a really, really, really good season.
Well,
Obviously, we saw
what
them.
needs to happen is that I need to predict them to finish top in the conference again, and
They'll,
then they'll bomb.
they'll be aiming for lotteries then. No, I mean,
Yeah,
like we saw them, they were literally what, a 3 point shot away from the finals.
yeah.
Like Miami, he's always one of them teams that I think everybody just sleeps on a little bit, and they
Yeah.
always prove everyone wrong. Like, and I think,
But equally, they haven't brought anyone in, so you can't really put it above the third
yeah,
tier
no,
or
hundred
above,
percent.
really.
I think like it could have been worse for them if I'm honest, but it
Yeah, yeah,
ain't. It's just regular.
yeah, yeah. Milwaukee, kind of similar to Miami in that case, but they haven't gotten rid of anybody to the magnitude of Miami of PJ Tucker.
100%, I agree with you there. Like,
Joe Ingles, Joe Ingles is a decent role player. I don't know how much game time he'll see um, in
yeah,
Milwaukee, but he was
I don't think
decent
there'll
for
be
Utah.
much. I don't think there'll be much. And to be fair, like we've been saying with a few teams, I think Milwaukee is one of them teams. They didn't need to add much, but at the same
Yeah,
time, you know, it's like
I'm
I think
looking at like
yeah,
the Lakers. Well, I mean the Lakers do need to add, but
yeah,
like the Warriors or the Mavericks, teams that
yeah,
got deep. They didn't need to add any much. I mean, if Milwaukee somehow like if Giannis got injured for the season and Milwaukee finished playing because of it, and Giannis comes back, you don't need to improve because
yeah,
you've got Giannis.
100%. I agree with you there.
So when you have a player to the magnitude of Giannis, like with Denver, you don't need to upgrade, but you just need to make sure you don't downgrade. And I feel
Yeah,
like Milwaukee have done enough to solidify themselves and take a third tier maybe.
yeah, I can agree with you there. I'm not gonna lie. Like
And obviously, what Giannis did Giannis sign a new contract
I was
during the
just about to
offseason?
say, I feel like he did, but I mean, he was already on the supermax.
Yeah, well,
I'm
I mean,
sure.
he's going to be there for another 5 years at least. So
100%, yeah.
um,
And like I mean, they have not lost anyone even close to like important to them.
yeah,
So like,
I'm looking at that now. It's literally DeAndre Bembry, Jordan Noora. It's probably decent role players throughout the
yeah,
regular season, maybe, but when it
yeah,
comes to the
but
player time, they're not seeing the light of day on that court. So
100%. I think Milwaukee are just gonna be like they're gonna be the exact same team we've always known them to be. No one major come in, no one major
yeah,
leave. So
so
yeah, I
I think it's a meh.
yeah, it's a mess. They didn't really do nothing. So
Yeah, yeah. The Minnesota Timberwolves are up next.
it's a
Very,
tricky.
very,
Yeah,
very busy.
yeah, very busy, but it's a weird one because I mean they lost Pat Bev, obviously, which you mentioned.
There's
They
been it's
got
been it's been a really weird offseason in the case that no one expected Mitchell to go to the Cavs,
yeah.
and
No
definitely
one.
no one
I didn't.
expected
I said
Gobert to go
yeah.
to.
Nobody. I didn't expect that to happen because, and now like I mean they're obviously going to be playing a different style of basketball now. Like they're going to be playing kind of a bully ball type thing, big players on the court only. It's
Yeah,
like I mean we know their defense is going to be quite strong.
yeah. I
Um.
mean that power forward center duo of Towns and Gobert is going to be decent. It's
Yeah. I
just
mean.
obviously the question of can Rudy Gobert do it in the playoffs? Hopefully, with the likes of Anthony Edwards, Carl Towns. If D'Angelo Russell wants to show up for work during the playoffs, maybe they'll
Yeah.
just outscore their opponents. Um,
100%.
I
100%. I can
mean,
agree with you there. I mean, like you said, they've got Anthony Edwards as well. I think that guy every year he's just growing massively. Like
yeah,
he's gonna be one of the most explosive players in the league in the next few years, and he
yeah,
already is becoming that. And I mean, as long as they don't match up Memphis again, and because I mean, right now Memphis owns Minnesota, and but
True, true.
I think that they could have a better playoff run. I
No,
mean,
yeah, me too. I think it's definitely not going to be a play-in, but obviously we're not doing our predictions yet, so
yeah,
who knows? I mean, when you look at the players that have lost Malik Beasley, the man who I couldn't remember last time out, um, obviously that's a tough one to lose. Patrick Beverley, obviously we've talked about him,
yeah,
um, but but when you look at who they've got, you know, Rudy Gobert is the three-time Defensive Player of the Year. As
yeah,
much as yes, he doesn't really have much offensive game or any perimeter defense, as we saw Luka Doncic manage to hit a shot off one hand, off one leg over him from the 3 point line, and it's like this guy is just getting clowned. But you can't deny that he is probably the best rim protector in the league.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
and you know, Towns is more of a offensive center forward
Yeah,
than Gobert is, so it allows Cat to do his thing a little bit more now.
100%. I think yeah, he'll get that more like freedom with, shooting. We know obviously he's got it in his locker, 3 point jump and everything. Like
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we,
I
we
think it's a banging off season.
I can agree with you
I
there.
don't think it's inspirational because of the players that they have lost. They have lost some
Yeah,
decent role players, but
had they
it's
not
it's a
lost
banger in my
maybe
opinion.
Pat Bev, Malik Beasley, few other guys like more
Yeah.
role players in there, that I think then it could have been. But obviously you can't gain like Gobert and
hmm
and other or like other decent players without having to lose some
Without
players.
having to get rid of a few. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that. I get that. New Orleans, a team who, like Miami, haven't signed anyone through free agency, haven't signed anyone via trade, but let's be honest, are going to have a very, very good season, in my opinion.
yeah,
They haven't lost anyone. They've managed to get an eighth overall pick in the draft. I mean, I think because of that lottery pick in there, I think it's probably better than Miami's, in my opinion, but still very
yeah. I can
similar.
agree with you. Obviously, like they, I mean, obviously they got Zion to sign a big contract too, like
Yeah, yeah, that's
keeping his loyalty.
probably what they wanted to. Yeah.
That was like kind of the same thing with Zach. That was will have been their main priority because even though we've
hmm
not seen
hmm
Zion even play a full season of basketball yet, everybody knows what he's going to be. Everyone knows what he is. Like when he was in the league,
He could come in, and if he plays 82 games, he could win MVP next year.
yo, that is crazy. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I don't think
Look,
anyone's
but
thinking
like
that. But you ain't even wrong at the same time. I'm not gonna lie,
this
you ain't
man
even wrong.
over I forget is it like I don't think he's played. I think like the 80 games he's played, he's averaging 28 points a game.
Yeah, you know what?
You know
I
that
can't
that
lie.
is that's big
That's
numbers.
that's the coldest hot take I've ever heard in my life because it's it's so true when you deep it, but it's like when you say it, it's like yo, like he ain't even played a full
Do
season.
I
He ain't even
actually
won
mean
MVP.
that? Whoa.
No, I can't lie. I could actually back that. Like
Yeah.
people
I
will
mean,
probably flame us for saying that though, but
no,
he could.
I think, I mean, it, because of that Zion thing, it could be in banger, like similar to the Clippers. But I
Yeah,
think it's
obviously, I think
probably,
this the CJ and Zion like duo as well for next year. I think it's gonna be
yeah, it's going
crazy.
to be
We
great.
just need
Oh,
to.
so obviously they've got Herb Jones,
Yeah,
Alvarado,
I just
Ingram.
yeah. I think Zion is definitely going to be starting as well when the season starts. I think he has to.
hmm
Like, because
hmm
we were saying when the playoffs were around you, he looks like he's ready to play. He looks like he's ready.
Yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
play. It's been 4 months since that, and like, if he's still not ready to play, then just he needs to go. I don't know, join a different sport because clearly this
Yeah,
basketball thing ain't for him.
yeah,
But
yeah. So in terms of the off season though, are we putting him there or are we
mm,
putting him banger?
I think we have to put in the banger, man. I mean, that I think that
Just
contract thing.
because of the Zion.
Yeah,
I think I can back it. I can back it. I
I think
can
tying
definitely back it.
down one of the most
In
like
demand, like young
players
players.
and
Yeah,
most
that's
hyped
big.
about players to say he's not even played a full season yet, like
Yeah,
and tying him down for what 5 year contract I think he got. I think
yeah,
that's like you can't argue with that, and the guy looks happy to stay with them.
yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, we'll put them in banger and move
Mm,
on to New York, which I think is probably one of the hardest ones to rank because they've blown very hot and cold. You know, they've got Jalen Brunson in. That's good.
mm,
Downside is he is the only player in NBA history to be given a 120 odd mil deal that has never been an All Star. That's probably quite bad. Isaiah Hartenstein, decent backup center. Has been for the Clippers. You could say they've probably paid him a little bit too much. They managed to keep Mitchell Robinson, but maybe have paid him a bit too much.
Mm,
You can see what's going here. RJ Barrett,
yeah.
he is the future of that franchise, but maybe
I mean, he
to
got a crazy contract. I'm not gonna lie, but I
they've
mean,
taken a big risk on him. I think he'll pull through.
a hundred percent. Like that's the thing. Like there's the Knicks fans. They're very like split between
Yeah,
like did they want Mitchell or did they want to keep RJ? It was kind of like they didn't really know what they wanted. It was either like some people kind of assumed it was either one or the other. And I mean, for me, if you're a deep Knicks fan, like you want to keep your players, but at the same time, everybody wanted Mitchell. I wanted Mitchell. Like I would kept saying it. Everyone wanted Donovan Mitchell. We just kind of assumed he was already going to come as well. Like
yeah,
before
yeah.
any deal was made, everyone just said, "Yeah, Mitchell's a Nick," and now he ain't. But I
No,
think the fact that we've tied down RJ Barrett, like I think Jalen Brunson's a good pickup. I don't think it was a poor season, but the fact that like the
I
way
think
the Mitchell thing happened.
if they'd have got Mitchell, they'd
Oh
have been
yeah,
so
they've been
inspirational
yeah,
for the Cavs.
100%. But I
I
think
feel
because
like I feel like though it's for the players that they've got and for the players that they've lost, they are a better team this year. It's gonna take a few years to see whether this off season is a banger or a top tier off season
yeah, you're right,
because that's when your players will start looking like they are worth the 100 odd mil that they've
100%. Now
invested into
you're
them.
right about that. I can't lie, but
So I think it might be a meh, mainly just because they didn't get
yeah, I think the way
Mitchell.
the Mitchell thing went down, I
Yeah,
think it's not good. Like,
yeah,
and I think it kind of shows that the Knicks, even though they have like the big name, even though we're not amazing at the moment, um, like people can like they can still attract these players, but at the same time, like we don't have the pull to get them there because of the fact they're just not that good anymore as well.
no, I mean it sucks, it sucks. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think it will time will tell as to whether
hundred
this
percent,
offseason's been great for them.
100%.
Oklahoma City, I can't lie, like 3 lottery picks on paper, that's great, but the fact is Chet's not going to be here for another year,
Yeah.
which does suck. But like I remember you saying to me, it's a good time for him to like go away, get rehab, hit the
Hmm.
weight room, get NBA ready. You
Yeah,
could maybe
because I
say,
mean the guy doesn't like we saw him. I know it was like only pro AM when he got injured, and like LeBron looked like he was just playing for fun, and Chet would look like he was trying his absolute hardest to defend LeBron, and he couldn't. Obviously, I know not everybody's LeBron, but like I think that guy's not actually built for the NBA. He's got skill, and we saw it in the summer league, but that's the summer league. Like that's why everybody's never really played NBA. Like we saw like Scottie Pippen's son play the summer league. Like these are players that aren't like NBA ready, but they're warming up. And I
yeah,
think this could be a blessing in disguise for him. Like obviously, he will have been aiming for rookie of the year, and I don't think he would have got anywhere close to it. I don't think the guy's actually built for the NBA yet. I think he needs to pick up a lot. Like a prime example is look at Paolo. Paolo looks like he's got the skill. The guy looks built. He looks ready. He looks strong.
yeah, yeah.
Chet does not look like that at all, and I think he needs to pick that up for himself. And I mean, he's
Well, I
already
mean,
7 foot, so
yeah, I mean, I think he, yeah, like I said, he has that skill. And if I'm honest with you, if this ends up working out for the Thunder in the way that they can persuade Shea to tank once more, so they can
mhm.
get Wembanyama, hopefully in the first, like if they can get the first pick in the lottery next year, get Wembanyama in the team, and then that's a dangerous young three.
Hmm.
Oklahoma, I think, are just like 1 or 2 seasons away from properly getting back to a challenging
Yeah,
situation. But and they didn't lose anyone important in the off season, but equally they also haven't got anyone other than their draft picks,
yeah.
and their main
Although I
draft
think
pick
I
ain't gonna
like
be
because I
there.
was really excited when Osman Dieng was going to play for the Knicks and now he isn't. And I think that guy looked like I saw like a lot of highlights from him and he looked really good. And I think OKC will kind of enjoy like I think they'll enjoy just some decent basketball this year. Like you said, they're going to be aiming for that number one pick as a lot of these teams are.
Do, do you reckon that Sam Presti has drafted Jalen spelled Jalen Williams and Jalen spelled Jaylin Williams in the same draft class? They're pretty much like the same person.
Bro, that's two chances at a rookie of the year. They might spell it wrong. They might get. This might be the first time there's two rookies of the year.
How's that?
Jalen
How's that going to
Williams.
be? how is that gonna be like if you want that guy's name on the back of your jersey, like what? Like they're just gonna have to differentiate by putting their whole name on there. Like
Or just put the
what?
first name. I don't know, Jalen. Jalen.
Yeah,
Uh,
who knows?
Imagine when they
Who
announced
knows?
the rookie of the year. The rookie of the year is Jalen Williams.
And they both stand up like.
And they start dapping each other. Yo, we did it, bro.
No, but yeah, I feel they haven't lost anyone
Mm,
massive. 3 lottery picks is big, but I feel like because Chet's not there, it probably could have been worse in my opinion.
yeah, 100%.
Next up is the Orlando Magic. Um, Again, another lottery team hasn't really traded for anyone, hasn't really let anyone big go, but obviously they've got the first overall pick, who is
Yeah,
going to be there for the whole season.
and he looks decent. I'm not gonna lie. Like he don't look like he's gonna be a bad player. I don't think he's gonna be amazing, but I mean, he'll probably be rookie of the year based off what I've seen from a lot of the rookies. Like he looks like he's probably gonna be rookie of the year. I
Yeah,
mean, when you're at the Orlando Magic and you're the first round pick, you know you're probably gonna be one of the main guys there as well.
yeah.
Like
So
most of the things will run through him because I mean, and also this puts a lot of eyes on Magic now. People weren't really paying attention to the Magic,
mhm,
but
yeah,
Paolo's
and
brought
it
like a lot of
allows
hype to the
it
league.
allows
Like,
people like Cole Anthony,
mm,
Wendell Carter, as much as I mean, I wish we didn't let. I can't lie. Given how Vooch has been for the Bulls so far, you could potentially say that Orlando won the trade there at the moment.
I remember when
You
that
know,
trade happened. You were hyped. You
no,
you
I
were
mean
so
I
happy.
was because Vooch had just come off an All Star appearance. I was like, this we're gonna have
Yeah, Vooch was
three
good
All
for
Stars.
Orlando. That's the thing. He
Yeah,
really sold you guys dreams with that one. Like he was just trying to get his
but
paycheck.
and yeah, and when Wendell is blossomed into a very good rim protector, which is what
Yeah,
Chicago need at the moment. So
yeah. They might need
that
to
sucks.
like Uno reverse that trade. I can't lie.
But yeah, I mean, I think because their pick can play, it's probably just a mere off season. It's
Mm,
nothing special, but they are going to be a better team this year for it, in my opinion.
100%. And like I said, I think Paolo is he's already hyped everyone up to see what he's gonna do. Like I'm actually very hyped to see him. I don't think I've been this hyped to watch a rookie since. I mean, technically Melo, because I was
Yeah,
hyped when Melo came into the league. But I mean,
we know.
I think this is a good thing for Magic. Like I think
Yeah,
they're not gonna
definitely.
have a major improvement in the season, but I just think the fact that there's gonna be more eyes on them is just better for them because
Hmm.
like there'll be players on there that will be good and they're not getting noticed, and I think this for them will be good and maybe bring some other players from other teams to think, you know what, they're decent, I can make them better, kind of thing. And you never know,
Okay, yeah,
this
you
could
never
be
know.
like the way for like Orlando redemption. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But for now, it's a meh.
Yeah.
Um, Philly haven't done much, but have brought in PJ Tucker. Daniel House is a
Mm,
decent role player off the bench as well.
yeah.
They've lost. I mean,
Danny
Danny Green
Green.
ain't gonna be playing this season. DeAndre Jordan, he's old. Paul Millsap is also old.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's more a case of Philly didn't really need to do much. Obviously, James
Yeah.
Harden. They needed to make sure that James Harden stayed.
And they've
Um,
have tied him down as well, which is kind of big. I'm not gonna lie, with less money as well, so you know that he's
yeah,
just determined to play.
yeah. Maxi's gonna have an extra year on him. Embiid,
Mm,
he's gonna have an extra year on him, but we all know what he can do.
mm,
And then obviously PJ Tucker, as much as yes, Philly have given him an unnecessarily long contract, just a 1 year deal would have probably sufficed.
mm,
Uh, he is going to provide good playoff experience. Obviously,
100%.
we saw how important he was for the Bucks, for the Heat last year. So yeah, maybe Philly can finally make that jump, but who knows?
Hopefully, I mean, you'd like to see Philly like, at least reach the finals or something. They kind of deserve it, man. They've been through so much pain. Obviously, Harden, like the guy, has just been one of them players in the league that has been like dropping 30 for the last 12 years. Like I don't even know how long he's been in the league, but
Mhm.
it feels like it's been forever. Like, and obviously Embiid, the guy has been he's been waiting his turn for the longest. You never know. Like I said, I think PJ, although you're right, he's old. They gave him a lot of money. I think that voice in the locker room is always like strong. Like you can't ever go wrong with it. Like they never these veterans who
Is a good vet, yeah.
like these vets who've been in the league, who've been around like winning teams. It's never a bad thing to have them. Like it's they know what they're talking about. They know they've been where these guys are trying to go. So it's like it's always good to have that. And I think the fact that they've got Harden, like they've tied him down, and like he showed his loyalty. Like he's playing for less money now. He just wants to play for them. So I think that for me like is really big because that shows like he's gonna give his all. Like he doesn't care about the money right now. He just wants to play basketball. And I think as well that makes their cap space a little bit better for like the future. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it makes their cap space a little bit better to give PJ
PJ
Tucker 30
Tucker all
million.
the money.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what's keeping it from a banger, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. To be
I
honest,
think
like
it's
that,
just
that
a
is a
meh.
lot of money to give one guy who's 37.
So, yeah, I think it's just a meh.
I can agree with you on that one. To be honest.
Phoenix. Phoenix, I can't lie. I'm looking at the roster, the page now. Genuinely, the only thing they've done is tie down DeAndre Ayton.
Which is kind of big, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they weren't gonna get anything from any other team for DeAndre Ayton really that was
Yeah.
better than DeAndre Ayton. It's just, does DeAndre Ayton actually want to play for the Suns anymore? Um,
Mm. And I mean, the
obviously,
fact that like he got
obviously
one.
when he finally signed the contract, he obviously was like, yeah, I'm here to stay now. But is
You
that
weren't
just
here to stay
publicity?
before, man. He was not here to stay. No,
No.
I think they had a decent offseason. Obviously, like you said, they've managed to keep Aiton. They didn't make any draft picks, obviously, which is like, I mean, like teams always like no fans. Sorry, always want to see like a rookie
Yeah.
in a team just for like the fun. Damian Lee from the Golden State, I can't speak, was decent. Like he was always like coming on the last 5 or 10 minutes, but he was always
Yeah.
decent. I remember watching him thinking this guy's all right.
Yeah.
Lost JaVale McGee though. That's not great. Like
But
like we
again,
said.
it's a team that probably underachieved in the playoffs and are just ready to go again.
Yeah, 100%. I can completely agree with
They
that.
yes they underachieved in the playoffs, but they did also finish first in the
Like
whole NBA.
we know what they can do. We know what
Yeah,
they can do,
yeah,
and
and I
like
feel like
they've
keeping
still
it
got
in means that they have that chance again.
yeah, 100%. Like we said, they've kept air and they've still got CP on probably another year or two. Hopefully,
Yeah,
like two maybe, and of
yeah,
course, D Book is there, and these guys want it still. Like obviously, these things happen. Sometimes teams just aren't themselves in the playoffs. Like they might not be ready. They clearly
mm,
weren't ready. Obviously, they didn't have the best playoff run or that they would have expected. Obviously, we all saw them expected them to go to like the finals or conference finals at least. They didn't do
yeah,
that, but like
yeah,
you said, they're just ready to bounce back. We know they are.
yeah.
They're probably
And
going
I
to
think
finish top three in the
because
league again.
yeah, because of that, it's a meh again. I think
Yeah, I can agree with you.
a lot of teams going into the middle section. I don't think Portland will though.
Poland had a good year. I can't lie.
Yeah,
Off season even.
gotten rid of a lot of dead weight. I'm looking maybe Eric Bledsoe is probably the only person they'll miss there. But it's the two. Well, maybe three if you look at the draft. Shaden Sharp, sorry, with the seventh
Yeah,
overall pick. Gary Payne for free agency, and then Jeremy Grant
Jeremy Grant. Yeah,
to
major
pair
pickup.
with Dame Lillard and an extra year on Anthony Simons as well.
Yeah, I think the only loss that even though he's not like a major player in the league, I think Dennis Smith Jr. is gonna like be something good in the coming years. I don't think like is a
You
major
got
loss
hope.
to them
You got
though.
hope, so man.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be that like 5 years
yeah,
ago, man.
I
But
know, I know.
you can hope.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not gonna miss his presence in terms of like what he brought to the team. He didn't bring much to the last season, but like I still see it coming for him. Like me, I'm always like hoping that these players are gonna come through and do something like, and I feel like he might. But in terms of the off season, I think it's probably up there with one of the best in the league. Like Jeremy
Yeah,
Grant, amazing pickup. Gary Payton, you know how much I like him. I think
yeah.
their draft picks were decent.
And
If
then getting Dame
Dame,
back is big too.
yeah, Dame, like obviously he signed a contract. If Dame actually plays, then I think Portland. I don't want to say it's like a Portland, comeback season, but because obviously we don't know, we ain't
It puts
seen
them in
Dame.
contention.
Yeah, we ain't seen Dame in a minute. Obviously, it ain't gonna be Dame and CJ, which what we know is like the last time we saw Dame was with CJ. CJ is obviously like one of the top guards in the league, and who knows? I
Yeah,
think they could be something decent. Like I don't think they can challenge to like go to the finals, but I think we're looking at Portland in the playoffs again. Maybe.
yeah. I think it's a banger.
Yeah, I can agree with you.
Cool, cool. Next up is Sacramento. Again, it's another lottery pick team, but a team that have actually brought in probably better players than the likes of Detroit, OKC through free agency. You know, they've
Yeah,
got Malik Monk in, they traded for Kevin Huerter, and then obviously Keegan Murray with that fourth overall pick.
yeah,
Well, I think it's going to be pretty decent this year.
yeah. I can agree with you. Like they didn't have a pot off season. Say they're not like really a team that really makes much noise in the league. Like they did. Like I said, Malik. They picked up Malik Monk. They've got a
Yeah,
decent draft pick. They haven't really lost anyone like huge.
yeah. And
Like
obviously they still have De'Aaron Fox and Demantis Sabonis in that
yeah,
team.
exactly. So
Um,
it could have been a lot worse for them,
yeah,
and it isn't. It turned out to be somewhat decent for them in the off
yeah,
season. To be fair.
yeah. I mean, I think it is just it's not as good as the teams in Banger, but I think it's better than the teams in the fourth tier. So I think
Yeah,
it's a met.
I can back it.
The Spurs, I mean, if they don't get Webanyama next season, then they might as well just abolish their team because it's going to take them a good while before they actually get somewhere. Because
Yeah, I mean, obviously they lost their number one guy. They lost Dejounte Murray. They have picked up our this country's very own Jeremy Sochan. Will he be
yeah,
good? I mean, ninth overall is a decent place to be for a British guy, especially like we know Britain don't really big up basketball like that. So for one of our own to make it into the league
yeah, that's big. I respect Jeremy Sochan. Yeah,
is major. I mean, it's kind of it's good for him. Spurs as a team, though, I think it has to be a very poor off season for them. Like they
yeah,
ain't really
but
done much of.
but understandable
Yeah,
if they get Webanyama in the draft next year.
yeah. You know what? We'll say then it was peripheral vision. Like they knew what they
Who
were
knows?
doing.
Who knows? But
They
at the
knew.
moment, it's bottom tier in my opinion.
Yeah, it has to be.
Their team is so much worse than it was last season. They're
Hmm.
probably going to end up with the worst record in the whole NBA this year, I reckon.
It could. Yeah,
Uh,
it could be.
unless Jeremy Sochan does bits,
Jeremy
Jakob
LeBron.
Poeltl.
That's what he is. Jeremy James,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, Spurs in the bottom tier. Toronto, the
the best,
Raptors.
the most inspirational team in the league. They signed
Really?
Bo Cruz.
They did. They did. Top tier, top tier,
Top
top
tier.
tier.
Top tier. They signed Bo Cruz, bro. They're gonna
No,
go win the
no.
league. 22.
What a legend. What a legend. No, I mean, again, it's a team that, I saw a stat just before we came on. They were the only team that had four players average 15 points or more. It's a very well rounded team.
Yeah,
Obviously, the likes of, Scotty Barnes, he's going to get an extra year.
yeah.
Same with Anunoby. Siakam's going to be fit all season.
Mm.
Obviously, Van Vliet is, I
He's
respect Van Vliet.
he's getting old though, but I think to be honest, one as well. I think the pickup of Otto Porter Jr. was quite good. Like we
Yeah, I mean,
saw.
I think I'm going to say Otto Porter, Josh Jackson, he's been around the league, he's a decent vet.
Yeah,
Bo Cruz, he's come in, he's going to start small forward for them, um, he's going to
he's come
average
a long way.
50. No, I mean, Hernan Gomez didn't really do much for the Jazz, but you never know. You never know. He
Remontada
might,
season. I'm telling you, that movie's put him on.
you never. Yeah, I mean, we've seen his skill, man. Unless he
We
got a
know he's
body
got
double
it.
to do it for him.
We know he's got it, man. He put Anthony Edwards in the bin. He,
Yeah, man. Yeah, so
no, to be honest, I think Raptors they have a good team, and to be fair, they did well at, like to hold against a very well-rounded Sixers team, and I think the Raptors are another team that they could do something like
I
get
think
the
I don't know. They haven't lost anyone, but I don't think anyone was up like their contract was up. So,
no.
but they have rounded their team out quite well. Like I said, I respect Otto Porter. If if he can get a decent shooting season, then he's gonna be good off
Yeah,
their bench.
yeah. I
And
think he was. I think Otto was always good off the Warriors bench too. I think he'll do the same for the Raptors. I think the
same
Raptors.
with the Bulls, really.
Yeah, I think the Raptors have
Um,
always just had a good team,
yeah,
and I think to be fair, I think they've strengthened the team and they haven't weakened it at any. So like, I think it was a good off season. I can't lie.
yeah, yeah. I still don't think anything's standing out though, so I think it is just still a meh.
Yeah, I can back that.
But it's definitely nowhere near the fourth tier in my opinion.
Yeah,
The Utah Jazz.
this is a tricky one for me. I'm not gonna lie.
For real? I mean, to be fair, yeah. Like I said, I completely. Obviously, they've completely exploded their team. They're still looking to get rid of Mike Connolly and Bogdanovich potentially before the season starts. So
Hmm.
we'll obviously see what happens with that.
Because
But
like obviously they've lost like everyone that was important to them. Like they lost Mitchell, Gobert, Beverly. Obviously, they lost Bo Cruz, like
Bo
the most
Cruz, yeah,
important player in the league.
yeah, man.
And I mean, aside from Colin Sexton, they didn't really pick up anyone like amazing. Like,
Equally though, I feel like they're gonna try and get Wembanyama next season soon. I think if Utah can
yeah,
get him, this is gonna be a very short rebuild. Colin Sexton, obviously, like I said, before he got injured, we've seen that he could do bits with Cleveland, and Utah have actually signed him to like a 4-year deal.
yeah,
Markkinen has a lot to prove. Dropped 43 in the Euro League the other day. Take as much of that as you want. Um, this, he's got a lot to prove. So
yeah,
I
hundred
guess maybe
percent.
on a team where eyes aren't going to be on him as much. Utah, right? Utah probably didn't really have many eyes on them anyway, even when they had Mitchell and Gobert.
Yeah,
So now they're going to be a lottery team. There's
100%.
definitely going to be no one's going to want to watch the Jazz this season.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they
it'd be
ain't gonna
interesting.
be like we've always called them the goats of the regular season. They ain't gonna be that for some time now.
No, no,
The regular season Jazz era is done.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But again, though, like they've still. I think they didn't get completely fleeced in the Mitchell trade, and I don't think they got completely done out in the Timberwolves trade as well.
No, they didn't. They really didn't. Like
You know, you
I
know
think
they.
they
I think
opened.
I think I think if they kept Beverly, I potentially say third tier, but I think it's just it could have been worse in my opinion.
I don't know, man. Like because we no, yeah, I can agree because like they've accepted that they are on a rebuild, so
But
like
and
they just let
like I
everybody
said, that
go.
I'm looking who they managed to get. Malik Beasley, he's a decent player.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt, decent player. Sexton might have a breakout year. Markkinen, you never know. They
mm,
got they got Horton Tucker. Everyone was bigging up Horton Tucker at the Lakers, saying he should get the extension. He
yeah,
then barely played for the Lakers, and when he did, he wasn't that great. So you never know; he might have a resurgence in Utah.
100%.
There's a lot of what ifs in Utah at the
Yeah,
moment. A lot of maybes. So I feel like it's not completely doom and gloom, but equally, if you're a Utah fan and you have been for the last 5 odd years and you're expecting more of the same, it
yeah.
ain't
Just
happening.
give up on that dream. But like I said, I think because they accepted that they were on the rebuild, that like even for me, I think them just getting rid of Pat Beverly just showed like they like completely on the rebuild, which I actually kind of like rather than holding on to what they could, they just let go of everything. Like
Yeah, they've gone younger.
yeah, like they obviously they lost Gobert quite early, then they lost Donovan Mitchell a couple of weeks ago, and then they were like, you know what, they just got rid of Pat Bev as well. I kind of like how they moved about it because they knew the rebuild was on. They knew all of these big players wanted to go, so they said, "All right, cool," and they got rid of them. I
Yeah,
like it. I like the management there. Like they
oh
don't
yeah. And,
like
Danny Ainge has been responsible for building what Boston have now. Obviously,
mm,
he left because he didn't really do much after he built that Boston team. But
yeah. But the fact that
Boston,
he like we know that he can rebuild teams to the
yeah,
top and then like let somebody else take over, which will probably happen with the Jazz. But
maybe,
I just like the way that they've gone about it. Like they put the team first rather than players, which I always like to see. Like in any
yeah,
sport, like when they're putting the needs of the team first, like
yeah, it's
then
big.
it's major, and that's what fans like to see. Like obviously it's good to hold on to good players, but like they understand that they can't do that forever. Like they know that they're not amazing in the playoffs, so they just said, "All right, cool," and now they're gonna move on and
Hmm.
go again with the new set of players, and I like it, and I'm excited to see the Jazz in the next few years. Like maybe probably take that throne of the regular season goats again. Who knows?
You never know, you never know. But yeah, it
Mm,
could have been worse. Fourth tier, I think, for Utah. As we
yeah,
move to the final team, the Washington Wizards, very eh kind of
mm,
off season, but equally Bradley Beal has pretty much signed his life away with that team for a lot of
yeah.
money. Whether that was the right decision from the Wizards to pay him so much,
I
who
mean,
knows?
in terms of Bradley Beal, like I think he's better than the Wizards, even though like his time has passed. He's still good. The money was kind of crazy, but like what without him, who cares about the
That team is a
Washington
rebuild
Wizards?
team. Maybe Washington need to just stop
Let
hanging on
go.
to
Yeah, maybe they need to let
what
go.
this guy can do. Yeah.
Kind of like how I was just saying with the Jazz, maybe they should just let go of him, let him go wherever he wants to go, because that money's a lot of money, and with that, then they can't really do much else because their
No,
cap
yeah.
space is like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
A 10th
He,
overall pick in the draft ain't terrible. You know, it's still in the lottery. Taj Gibson, they brought in. You know, I'm, you know me, big Bulls fan.
mm,
I love Taj. He's a decent voice in the locker room. Will Barton, he's not terrible, and Monte Morris ain't either. Um, you know, Morris is probably gonna come in and maybe get some starting minutes there. Whether he's whether he's worth that, who knows? Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen with the Wizards? Because really, other than Beal,
mm.
it is a lottery team. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with him this year.
I mean, imagine they managed to bug the first round pick and then
The number one pick, yeah, who
yeah, and
knows,
the
man?
number one pick with Bradley Beal in there. That's kind of. I mean, that's a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And then,
I don't think it'll happen, but you know, anything can happen in the NBA,
oh,
really.
and to be fair, I didn't even realize they lost Caldwell Pope as well. He was
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was he was nice. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I can't. They had, now that I'm looking at it, they had like a really poor off season. It has to be it.
But
I think it's about,
keeping Bradley Beal, I guess it could have been worse.
yeah, fair enough.
So I'm
He's
a
yeah.
stick.
You can yeah. You can. I
I'm a
can
stick.
agree with
I'm a
that.
stick. Washington.
Again,
Fourth
they're one
tier.
of them teams now that they're just kind of there in the league. Even though they have Bradley Beal, who's obviously one of the more like known players in the league, he ain't even like that guy anymore though. So
No,
they're just one of them. They're
his
just
shooting
there.
percentages went down quite bad last year. So
He's just there.
yeah.
Not gonna
So I
lie.
mean that rounds off the tier list. I mean a lot in the third tier, and not as
Yeah.
many in the top tier as we usually have. But
Mm,
Cleveland, I guess Cleveland have won this year's off season. It'd be interesting to see
100%.
what they can do next year. As
100%.
we round off today's video, the first video with Sully in about a month.
It's been a
Um,
minute. I'm not gonna lie. I
yeah.
feel like I keep saying that too much, man. I need to be more consistent. But guys, don't
Yeah.
worry. Don't even worry. We've got major plans coming soon.
Hopefully. But anyway, that'll do us today. Make sure that you are liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you are new. Make sure you comment down below what you guys want to see from us. Sully's just been drafted to the Knicks, and yeah, I guess we will see you guys next week if Sully ain't off. Oh, man, this man he's playing for West Ham. He's now been drafted to the
I've
Knicks.
just been drafted, guys. Number 12 pick in the draft. So I thought it was gonna be higher, but I told Knicks I wanna play for the Knicks only.
All
So I had
right,
to wait
okay.
till number 12. But it's all good. You guys are gonna see me.
All
We
right.
don't need
Well,
Don. They didn't need Donovan. They got me.
I guess we might not see much beyond the arc if Sully's playing in both the Premier League and the NBA. Who knows? But yeah, we will see you guys. All jokes. We will see you guys next week. Peace.